individual agent. Hi, everyone. I'm Meg Daday. I'm an individual agent based in downtown Chicago. And Meg and I are so excited to be here today. I did 28 million in volume in 2021 with 50 units, have a transaction coordinator, and now I have someone help with marketing about 5 hours a week, just getting things executed. But when I heard the virtual mega camp in 2020, Mary Cheatham King was interviewed, and she talked all about how her team uses the Storybrand framework throughout all of their marketing. And I love Storybrand and basically stalked her marketing team and connected within like a few minutes of that interview with Meg Gravley on Instagram. And we now have become real life friends in addition to being friends. And we're both obsessed with Donald Miller and Storybrand. So we bonded over that and are super excited to chat all things marketing today.
Yeah, we're really excited. So today, I'm going to introduce myself in a second, but today we're going to be kind of doing a little snippet of three, I guess, concepts that have really worked for our teams and ourselves over the past couple of years that you can really implement right now. So we're really excited to go into that. But before we do, like Meg said, my name is Meg Gravley, and I'm located in Morehead City, North Carolina. I'm a part of a team of 25 women. We're all women, which is so fun. It's so great. And I'm the marketing director. So I'm not an agent. We have a team of 2 who run our marketing. Andy is my partner in crime, and she runs our digital side. But just want to be clear that I'm on a team, and the things that I'm saying are from the perspective of a larger team. And it's really cool because we get to compare it to things of a solo agent from Meg. So Meg's in a big town, solo agent. I'm in a small town, big team. So we're really excited to share some insights today and provide some value for you guys that you can implement right now.
Well, and the thing that we really have in common is we're both really marketing based and prospecting enhanced, which I think works. I mean, that connected with me right away because just, with my personality and skill set, I think focusing on the marketing and using that as a jumping off point for my prospecting has been really helpful.
And I know that James this morning on his call, he kind of touched on that quote and shift. Do you have that up, Meg?
I do not.
You had it up.
I had it up, yes.
Wait, I have it on my phone from you, Meg.
Sorry. Oh God.
No, I'm going to start reading it. And then you can go into it.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
So Meg sent this to me earlier, and I thought it really applied to kick off, what we're going to be talking about today. It says, many people think of prospecting and marketing as mutually exclusive, but I encourage you to think bigger and see them as mutually supportive. Your prospecting can be supported or enhanced by your marketing, and your marketing can be supported or enhanced by your prospecting. The only limits are probably a lack of creativity. So Meg, tell us why that resonated with you this morning.
I think focusing on marketing and using events and marketing as the jumping off point for a way to keep in touch with people. As Jordan Fried, our coach, says, you're not call reluctant, you're value deficient. And so the events for me are a way to provide value to my clients and give me an excuse to reach out to them. So we're going to get into events a little bit later on. But I think just tying marketing and prospecting together has been a huge game changer for me.
Absolutely. And in the shifting market, we're going to be focusing more on prospecting, of course, hand-to-hand combat. And these are some things that you can implement alongside the prospecting. So we're really excited to go into our bucket system, something that helps create consistency and, provides clarity and, the brain calories. Donald Miller always talks about saving brain calories with folks who are reading your messaging, but you can really apply that internally too. We always forget to make life easier for ourselves as internally too. So this bucket system really helps.
Yeah, because I know both of us repurpose almost all of our content on social media, in newsletters, in print marketing. So, but when you started on the team, I think you had a little bit of trouble figuring out like just like everyone, it can be super overwhelming. What do I post, when,
Yep.
where?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about the system that you came up with for that.
Absolutely. So again, I'll say bucket so many times throughout this today, but it's the system we created. It's essentially a menu of 4 categories. You can have as many categories as you want, but it's a menu of 4 categories that you select as a team, and you put different content ideas under it. So when it comes time to create a piece of marketing, whether it's a social media post, an email, a postcard, a magazine or newsletter, something along those lines, you can pull from those buckets and have your content already created for you. So on our screen, we are going to share an example of how we do it and our team, and then versus Meg's buckets. But our team sat down and we came up with 4 different categories of content to pull from whenever we need to create a piece of marketing. So our 4 are our listing bucket, our market update bucket, our team bucket, and our community bucket. So those are the 4 categories from which we pull content whenever we need to create a piece of marketing. So Meg, what about you guys?
Yeah, so mine are super similar, and they are client stories, real estate, of course, local women-owned business spotlights, and like design, kind of just like lifestyle design hacks. So I think we have a slide about this.
Yes.
But
I think it might be up. I'm not sure if we have visibility with the screen shared, but we have a presentation rolling. And I'm going to flip to the next one, but we have kind of a chart that shows an example of how we use our buckets. And I know Meg does something similar, but we sit down and we print something out, and we, print it out, put it on our wall of our 4 buckets, and then all of the content ideas underneath it. So for example, we'll choose one. Under our community bucket, we have ideas like business owner interviews, business spotlights, event calendars, local heroes, guides to your community, and favorites lists. So those are all things that if you're really struggling to figure out what to post on a Tuesday afternoon, you can look, you're like, oh, I haven't posted a community bucket in a while. Let's do an event calendar for the week coming up. So yeah, we really enjoy this concept, and it's helped create clarity and provide consistency for whether it's posting on social media, sending out emails on time, which we'll get into in a little bit, or yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I use similarly. So I think it just streamlines exactly what to post and when. So mine, again, are client stories, which are just home tours where clients tell their stories in their own words. And real estate, which is typically just like educational FAQs, new listings, market updates, real estate myth busting, essentially. And for local business owned spotlights, we have been doing an at home with. So having our designer tell us about what she loves about her neighborhood. Or just, highlighting in different ways local women owned businesses. And then for design tips, one recently was about just like decluttering and, what are your favorite ways to personalize your space, basically.
Sure. So I'm laughing because I see in the comments that people are like, we can't see the graphics yet. My thing, my StreamYard went out. So let me redo that and share the presentation. Grace is probably on the other end like, you guys, what's happening?
Your slides are so pretty that I feel like, they need to be seen.
Well, it would just be way easier if folks could see what we're talking about. So that is being shared right now.
And we can see the comments. So if there's questions as we go, we can try to answer those. So thanks for following along.
Yes. So Grace, looks like all is good. We're back up and running, and we're going to roll into the 2 concepts that we have. Again, we just covered buckets, which we're happy to, reshare those slides at the end if you guys missed anything. But we're going to roll into email and the importance and the ease that buckets create through sending a consistent email. And then we're going to go into events, which I love hearing Meg talk about because I think the way she approaches events is so genius. So email, our first concept, the way that you consistently communicate with your database is by using this bucket system. So what we do via email is we pick one bucket or all 4 buckets and we throw it into MailChimp. Meg, can you go over how you go through your email first? Because you do it in a simple way that I think people could log off of this call and implement within the hour.
Yeah. So we'll go back to that bucket slide in a second, but mine again, a big one for me is client stories. And so that's what you see on this slide. Each of my email, I do a weekly email, and my business really took off when I got a little bit more consistent about that about 2 years ago. And it still is not 100% consistent. So I don't want anyone to like get overwhelmed with the idea of doing a weekly email. Just start with a monthly email. But again, mine typically just have one of those buckets. So it could be a client story, an event invitation, a market update. Occasionally I'll just do like what I'm, loving around my neighborhood or watching or reading. So that kind of falls into the lifestyle bucket. But again, I just keep them super, super simple and repurpose the content that had been on social media or in other areas through a weekly email.
Yeah, we repurpose content a ton too. And similar to Meg's emails, we also send them weekly. Again, Andy, by we, I mean Andy, who's our digital marketing guru. She's so fantastic and makes them so pretty. But we started by sending them once a month. So we nailed down the once a month consistently, and then we moved it to biweekly, and then we moved it to weekly. So we didn't just roll into consistently sending an email every Thursday at 6 p.m. We built up to it after we got into the habit of that, previous consistency. So like Meg's screenshot, this is just a little scroll through to show you guys the 4 buckets that we include in our emails. We include all 4 usually, sometimes multiple of each bucket. And again, as a recap, we have listings as a bucket, market update, community, and team. So I'm going to hit play here, and it's going to scroll through our most recent email. This one actually hasn't even been sent out yet. So you guys are getting an exclusive. Sorry, Andy. But you'll see the listing bucket up first. Next is a team bucket. We just had a little team retreat. After that, we have a find of the week, which is our community bucket, and it's National Book Month, so another community bucket. And then we have some more listings. So this one doesn't necessarily have, a market update in terms of these are the days on market. This is the average sale price right now. But through our listing bucket, we kind of hit that market.
So how long did it take you to do it monthly and then eventually move to weekly?
That's a good question. So it was just me when we were doing it monthly, and they were not pretty like how Andy makes them here. We actually design them now in Canva, and then we pull over the images into MailChimp. If anyone has any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. But maybe a year. I mean, it was not a quick transition. So we went from monthly, biweekly, weekly. And one thing, actually, I'm going to show you guys some pro tips and a timeline for consistency that's really helped us is we made our send day and time non-negotiable. So we picked Thursday at 6 p.m. after testing some different send times. So we know, our whole team knows that every Thursday that an email is going out. So Mary Cheatham looks at the email. I look at the email. There's a whole editing process to it. But our database and our team knows that they're going to get an email in their inbox every Thursday at 6 o'clock, which has been a game changer for us. And go ahead, Meg. Did you have a question?
No, but I love that you design each box in Canva and then move it into MailChimp, because I've been using a different system and going back to MailChimp. And so I've been using Flowdesk, which is lovely, but doesn't allow, it's against their terms of service to send just listed, apparently. I just found this out. So MailChimp is. Someone asked if we use Command. I'm going back to Command recently, so we'll be tying MailChimp with Command, but I currently do not. And I don't know how long it took me to build the habit to go from monthly to weekly, because before I did weekly, it just wasn't consistent at all. Like it probably wasn't even monthly. It was just whenever I had time. So I loved your tip about just making the date and time non-negotiable, because still the consistency, I probably am at 3 a month now, but I love the idea of just making that non-negotiable. And now it is Thursday at 2. So, and keeping it to one bucket is what really makes that doable for me, because I don't have a ton of listings at one time. So like I
Right.
don't necessarily have like a just listed every single week. So,
I think that's so smart. And maybe you start with one bucket, then maybe once you nail down that one bucket and that feels good, maybe you move to 2 buckets and you start to grow your email that way.
Exactly.
And I think this would apply to you, Meg, too. But if you guys want to screenshot or take a picture of this slide, this is a 7-day timeline that you can use if you send it monthly or if you send your email weekly. But we know that as agents or as admin, making an email isn't the only part of your job. So this is a really easy way to spend a little bit of time each day for a week to get that email out and ready on day 7. So, I'm not going to run through it because you guys can read it, but on day 1, you look at your buckets, you assess what content you want to put in, then you start creating it on day 2, you send it out for edits on day 5, and then you schedule it to send on day 7. So our Andy and our marketing team uses this kind of timeline and system. We try and stick to it as much as we can, but this has worked really well for us.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Could you go back to the buckets really quick?
Of course.
Because I think because we missed those slides,
it's on a little lag.
Quickly, through that again. Well, and someone also asked about my client stories. So those are a huge part of all of my marketing, really. And it's because of Storybrand. And Storybrand talks about, making your clients the hero and you portraying yourself as the guide. And so when I heard about that, really envisioned it as the clients telling their stories in their own words. And on the pivot call this morning, Mary Ellen mentioned that she sends out success stories as part of her newsletter, which I love. And that's basically what mine are. So, and you could easily do this for free if you just snap a photo of them at the final walkthrough, standing in the kitchen, holding up the keys, and send them. I have a list of questions that I'm happy to share with anyone, but it's about 15 questions, and it's all about why they chose the neighborhood and, what they loved about the home more than, and there's one question, did they love about working with me? So it's really all about them and their experience and their, life in Chicago.
Such a good one. Yeah, those are great. We're starting to implement those thanks to you. And that's been a game changer for our message. Really quick, Meg, did you have anything else about buckets or client stories? I have one clarification.
No, go for it.
Cool. So folks are asking about Canva versus Command versus MailChimp. And Canva is just what we use to design the images. That's not what we use to send the email. So we export our graphics and our little buckets as PNGs, and you can either drag it into Command, you can drag it into MailChimp, whatever mail platform that you use. We just use Canva as the design side because a lot of times MailChimp, for example, doesn't allow you to make things pretty. And we found that folks will open your email more consistently if it looks nice.
Yeah, I just love a pretty graphic.
As do we.
Chat or slide about, yes, I love this one.
There we go.
That is so helpful, just seeing like what. And, you described it as a menu where, if you within your listing bucket, it could be a closing roundup or a lifestyle shoot. And that's, I think, so helpful to know that it's not every week going to be the exact same type of, community spotlight or whatever. It's going to be something off of this menu.
Exactly. It's been a game changer for no matter what we're creating, email, postcard, anything printed, an event. We make sure our events contain a lot of our buckets. Speaking of events, this is my favorite. Meg, I love hearing you talk about this because I think it's so genius. Our team is going to implement this in 2023, this kind of very simple but really effective strategy that Meg's created through micro events.
Yeah. I mean, so back in about 2018, I realized that I really liked working with professional women who were typically single. Now, a lot of them are like engaged, but they're in their late 20s, early 30s, first time home buyers, work, have a great job in tech or law or consulting. And then from there, realized that that same woman a few years later was a great client as well, because they were upsizers. needed to sell that first condo, now buy a single family home in the city. And so in order to connect with more of these types of women, I started hosting what now I call micro events, which are events for 10 to 40 people, more frequent than kind of like your macro client event, which I do one of those a year, but I do about 10 micro events a year, and they're all specifically targeted at either women or families. So, and they're a super affordable way to continue to provide value to clients. Like I said, a lot of my prospecting is done around events because I use them as my basically excuse to reach out to clients. So there's still a ton of time to plan a super inexpensive fall micro event. I love photo events. I just did
You're
one.
so good at them. They're so cute.
Well, and this little photo is the parking lot of my office, which has a great white brick wall, my little nephew's. But this event cost me between 500, the price just went up, of course, but now this year it was like 750. My lender paid for food. The venue was free. It was a Sunday morning from 10 to 1, and about 30 families came, got their photos taken. It was a great event. But if photos aren't your thing, then I'm also doing like a holiday mixology class
So cool.
in November. I'm going to try and do a wreath making class in December. And my goal for these is to spend less than 500. And if it's above that, to have someone partner with me. So yeah. I think the next slide has the, yes. So here are 10 things that I think make a successful photo event.
Oh, this
And
is so good.
the
I'm
key
taking a
is
picture.
really to find a free venue. So, I've partnered with local boutiques and hosted there when it's, the weather doesn't support being outside. My office, I've used that white brick wall several times, and on a Sunday, no one's there. The parking lot's empty. Although this time we showed up and like it was full because of a yoga class, and I like really got nervous, but cleared out. My lender brought coffee and donuts, and what I love about Sunday mornings is no one's expecting alcohol, so it really keeps the cost down. And my format for these is sort of open house style. So people come, they, do an 8-minute photo shoot. It's really quick. They probably get 10 to 20 images from that. Everyone just wants that one that they can use for a holiday photo. And they hang around for coffee and donuts for 20 minutes afterward, and then they leave. So we posted something about the last photo event and it looked empty. And I was like, oh, it's because there's usually only 2 to 3 families there at once, because either they're waiting for photos, getting photos taken, or have just done them. So for me, that, I'm an like extroverted introvert. So having just a few people to kind of mingle with at once is really perfect. So
That's awesome. And someone just commented, they say it's a great way to make a deeper connection with your VIPs or your A plus clients. Who are you inviting to these? Are they your VIPs or are you inviting the whole
yes,
database? Okay.
eventually it depends on the event, but I start with my VIPs. And really the goal is to have like half VIPs and half their friends. So I want to meet more people just like my ideal client. And so if, someone bringing a friend to a family photo event, then they get added to our database and, then continue to come to future events. And it's not an immediate like, hey, we want to buy or sell, but once they've come to a few events, it eventually turns into business. I did a photo event in 2019. It was before I kind of got the system down. So it was a little bit more expensive. I think I spent $4,000. I had 40 families come. And out of that, 20 deals came in the next 2 years for about like 400,000 in GCI. So
that's really, really awesome.
The photo events are about 3 hours. I 10 to 1, try and schedule it because I'm people with kids, around nap times and stuff like that. So quick, by Sunday at 1, I'm done and everyone can go on and enjoy the weekend.
I love that. That's so smart, Meg. And a lot of folks in the comments are really interested in your client stories list as well, or your client stories questions list. I know we're talking about photos and a photo event, but with the couple minutes we have left, will you touch on the photos you get of, after closing and how you exchange that list of questions for those photos?
Yes. So
I know it's not an event. I'm really
yeah,
going off the rocker here.
and so it goes about every quarter. I go back to the clients that closed in the past 3 to 6 months and ask all of them if they would like a photo, like a gifted home tour photo shoot. And so it's 1 hour with my photographer. The photographer charges me 300 for it, and they get all of the digital images. And it's typically I ask him to shoot sort of like stock photo type images. So like everything, all the photos you see in my social media, whether they have people in them or not, are photos that he's taken in someone's home. So we have like images of interiors and stuff without people in them, which is great for content. But I send them the questions as soon as they sign up for the event. And it's about 15 questions, all about why they chose the house, what they love about the neighborhood. Um, Again, it's just one question about what they loved about working with me. And for upsizers, it's, how was it buying and selling at the same time? So they're not all, they talk about how stressful it was or whatever, which I kind of want them to in some cases. And in order to so hopefully they will fill out the answers before the photo shoot. But if not, they somehow don't get the photos back until they respond with the
What a
questions.
wow, what a
I
crazy
know, it's
thing.
crazy.
I think that's so smart, so smart. Another way to use photos as, long-term marketing
And
strategy.
I think this could really be done for free again if you just snap a photo of them or take photos yourself of them in the house. Um, and just before, when they get the clear to close, send them the questions when they're still super excited and not stressed out about moving. I think more than just a simple review, a lot of what makes the content really easy is for these client story emails, I literally just take their exact words and put them in the email. Like I'm not drafting anything in additional, which helps with content creation.
I think that's so smart. So smart. And
Yeah.
again, like you said, all of the things that we talked about today, including what Meg just touched on with the client stories, all of this can be done at little to no cost. You can help get your vendors to help offset the cost of things. We know in a shifting market, we look at our expenses quite a bit, and marketing usually is at the top of that list. So buckets are something you do internally that cost nothing. Your emails can be fairly inexpensive, if not free. Events can be offset. And these are all things that you can implement tomorrow. So we actually, it's lagged a little bit. It'll switch over in a second. We have compiled a masterclass that is a deep dive into what we just talked about, along with a handful of additional concepts that really have worked for our businesses, that we're essentially just sharing what's worked for us and what's helped us get to where we are right now. And we're going to share it with all of you. There's a lot of value. You walk away with a 30-day marketing plan. You walk away with tangible ideas and ways to improve your marketing, for the rest of the quarter or the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to scan the QR code, or you can go to homegrown-collective.com. You can sign up for that class. It's November 9th from 1 to 3. Thank you to James for helping us set it up. And we're really excited.
We are super excited. And it goes much deeper into finding your ideal client, Storybrand, outlining the framework for anyone who's not familiar with it, and then social media, deeper dive into events, client stories, how I do those with the list of questions. It's a really fun class, and we're super excited to share it with everyone.
Yes, and it'll be via Zoom. We've done it multiple times in person, and it was very interactive and awesome. But we are going to carry that over to Zoom and make sure that we answer all of your questions and have, one-on-one time, not one-on-one. We have face-to-face time to workshop different ideas that you guys might have. We're just really excited about it.
Yeah.
So
And you walk
click
away
on
with
that.
a
Yes.
marketing plan that's perfect timing for 2023. So we can't
Yay.
wait.
Meg, we just ended right on time.
Amazing.
Wow. Yes, exactly. Y'all, thank you so
I've
much for
never
being
been on
with us
time for
today.
anything.
I know, same. We hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and loved meeting you, and hope to meet you guys on November 9th.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, y'all.